So how can you not only survive but thrive with your partner? A new article on the Atlantic's website, it's called Masters of Love, is one of the most read pieces of the week. Author Emily Esfahani Smith looks at what makes happy and unhappy relationships. Emily, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Number one, this article is so well done. Bravo to you.
Yeah,
Whether you're in a
so
relationship or not in a relationship, I think we can all learn. But your research cites 95% accuracy on how a couple will stay together or not, based on physiological things.
That's right. John Gottman and his wife Julie have been doing this research for a long time. I think John has been doing it for over 4 decades now. And part of the early set of studies was bringing couples into the lab and hooking them up to electrodes and measuring their pulse, their heart rate, how fast their blood was flowing, whether they were sweating. And what they found was that the so-called masters of relationships, the ones who were still together 6 years later, had a much more regulated, lower, calm physiological markers than the disasters whose hearts were kind of fluttering, they were sweating, a little bit nervous. But I mean, what was fascinating in the studies was that they looked the same, you know, they were sitting there, but then their physiology was telling a totally different story.
So I thought this was so fascinating because you want to create, right, a climate of trust and intimacy in any sort of relationship. But this was what was interesting because he broke down what he called were bids in a relationship. When someone seeks a connection with their partner, what did he find?
He found that the masters, so a bid basically is all throughout the day in a relationship, partners are making bids for emotional connection. So they're saying, hey, did you read this article? I loved reading it. And then the masters would turn towards their partners during the bid and say, yes, that I want to read that right now. Let's talk about it. Whereas the disasters would turn away. They would say, I'm busy. Can we talk later? I'm reading. Don't interrupt me. And the masters responded to the bids 9 out of 10 times, whereas the disasters only responded 3 out of 10.
The most important thing in a relationship is kindness.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's so true.
Exactly.
Elaborate, please.
So, I mean, the studies have found that kindness is the #1 important factor in predicting marital stability and marital happiness. And it sounds so simple in theory, but really in practice, it's much more difficult to practice. Because
and you can still argue and be kind.
You can, exactly. I mean, that is the most important time to be kind, because in a fight, that's when you're throwing the spears. That's when you're saying, God, you're so lazy. You're just like your dad. You start saying things that can just completely ruin the foundation of love and trust. And so instead of throwing the spears, saying, I'm really hurt. This is why you make me angry. That's the kinder path.
But isn't this just simply common sense?
It is common sense, which is why it's so interesting that only 3 in 10 couples are masters. Only 3 in 10 of them have honed these skills, are experts in them, have practiced over the years. 6 in 10, 7 in 10 of us are still struggling with this.
Yeah, and that's why I think your article is so popular on the Atlantic website. And you say the most dangerous thing in a relationship is contempt.
Exactly, the opposite of kindness.
All right.
Are you married, Emily?
I am not married. I have been dating the kindest man for the last 5 years.
So he's a master.
He is a master.
He's a master.
She's still young. You've still got time.
Yes, yes.
Well done, well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much.